The sponsor's been answering a lot of questions, so give me a little break now. And in listening to the debate, I've heard, and I want to talk about, Senator Steck made a comment earlier about how many memos we've seen attached to this bill. So I've never seen so many memos of either support or opposition to one bill. I had to take all of them out of my binder here. It got too heavy. I mean, they're just everywhere. And in listening to this debate, it was clear why. Because each one is saying something different, and they seem to contradict each other. So I'll hear somebody quote one study, and then another one says, well, I heard the study that said this, and that's not really that, and this, that, the other. One of them's going to save companies money and save governments money and save taxpayers money, and the other one's going to drive up costs. So I figured, you know what, let's just listen and try to clear through all of the muck here. So I looked at, earlier this year, President Trump, when he got into office, said, I'm going to address the unfair trade practices, and his way he was going to do it was through raising tariffs and kind of calling the bluff of some of the other nations and, yeah, increase the tariffs. And immediately, you heard from the other side, this is going to cost Americans so much money, and food will be, we can't afford to eat anymore. We're all going to die. It's all the food prices are going to go so high. Because the theory was you raise the tariffs, it increases the cost on the companies and those importing or exporting, and in doing so, they'll pass those increased costs on to, you got it, the consumers. But somehow that theory disappears when we talk about this bill. Of course, if we're changing the packaging practices and forcing companies to change how they're doing it, it's going to drive up costs. There's no doubt. There's no question. When that happens, what do the companies do? They pass it along to the consumer. So yes, it will cost more. It's that simple. So we've heard all the studies, all the experts that, so I'll use one of my own here. Dr. Calvin Lakem from York University is an expert in environmental studies and urban change, and also an economist, has a degree in economy. And he says the EPR compliance fees can raise consumer prices on staple goods by 2 to 6%, and that this cost burden falls disproportionately on lower income households who spend a higher percentage of household income on packaged food compared to higher income households. Now, all during the budget process, we heard the governor and everyone running around using the word affordability. Everything was about affordability. In fact, a lot of us in the chamber, myself included, pushed really hard for the universal free meals in schools for the kids. And the governor, in her release, touted that, saying free school meals are estimated to save families $165 per child in grocery spending each month. But now we go to this economist, and if this bill goes through and we increase costs, well, that savings seems to be out the window now. And it's especially going to hurt those who struggle to feed their families in the first place. In fact, I saw another interesting statistic. We talk about the SNAP benefits. The average household of 4 that is a recipient of SNAP benefits, again, these are the families struggling to feed their families. They receive about between $900 and $1,000 a month in SNAP benefits. And what are we going to do? We're going to make the costs even higher on them to reduce what they get from their benefits. So again, as we talk about affordability, we're taking some steps in the budget, but now we're going to take a step backwards here, and we're going to hit families in the pocketbook again. So again, trying to go through all of what I've listened to during this debate, it's become pretty clear we're not there yet. No, we're just not there yet. I commend the sponsor. Man, he has worked his tail off on this. And as he said, he introduced this bill a couple of years ago, and since then has made dozens of changes and amendments. Why? Because it's not simple. This is complicated. I'm sitting here listening to packaging of little ketchup packets and the foil to cover the yogurt containers and Lunchables and this, that, the other. And every time there were other terms, off-ramps, waivers. I heard, well, in 12 years, we sent men to the moon in 10 years. We can definitely fix this in 12 years, but then in the next breath, we've heard that it's not technologically feasible yet. So which is it? And that's my point. We're not there yet. I mean, even this debate, I heard contradictions left and right. I heard the sponsor invite one member to introduce another bill to cover things that weren't covered. Well, guess what? There has been another bill introduced. The Affordable Waste Reduction Act has been introduced. I actually think I prefer that bill. My point is, we're going to rush into this. We're going to pass this bill, and as Senator Walczyk said, we're going to have with us this big, thick bill that does what? Causes more confusion? Causes prices to go up? That's not what we want. If we're really trying to solve the problem, we need more work. We need to keep rolling up our sleeves. I'll work with you any way I can. We should look at both of the bills, the one that we're discussing here and the Affordable Waste Reduction Act. See what works here and there, but there is more work to be done. We are not there yet. And that's why tonight I will be voting no on this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.